Hey there, Max Rich here. Today we're talking about rasgueados, which is a very Spanish, very flamenco type of technique. And it's a right hand or picking hand. I mean, if you're left-handed, it's your left hand. But it's the picking hand, and it's a technique that is very percussive and very dramatic sounding. You know, you've heard it before probably a ton of times. You know, that type of a thing. That's rasgueado technique. And what we're dealing with, basically, is a bunch of different patterns in our right hand. And you don't even really need a guitar to practice this at first. You know, basically what it is, it's a technique that involves shooting your fingers out across the strings. And we're going to start with a real simple one. And we're just going to basically take the most basic, the easiest pattern, and we kind of ball our hand up in a fist, not like a real tight fist, but not loose either. We're just kind of sitting there with a nice, sturdy, enclosed hand, I want to say. And our thumb, just for now, for all intents and purposes, can rest right on the edge of the fretboard. So not on the face. You don't want to ever really touch the face of the guitar, but just on the little corner of the fretboard. And we're going to just mute the strings and practice shooting our fingers out one at a time. And our fingers have names. C for our pinky, A, M, I, and P for our thumb. And so what we're going to do, we're just going to shoot one out at a time. So first with our pinky or C finger, then our A finger, then M, then I. And you want it to be super percussive, like a metronome. And the reality is that you're kind of exploding your hand outward. And it comes from the big knuckles, right? These motions. It's not little tiny motions like this. It's big explosive motions from these knuckles. And we're going to just make an E major chord and practice doing that. And then you can practice a little bit more rhythmic. So that's... So you end up with kind of like a speed burst. And when you're bringing your fingers back, they all come back at the same time. And you want to feel as though gravity is helping you kind of explode your hand outward. And it's going to be awkward and you're going to kind of like fumble a bit at first when you're very first learning this. But don't get discouraged because it's really just like a muscle memory thing. Once you build the strength in your big knuckles to kind of just shoot your fingers out, you'll notice that they become sharper and quicker and more percussive each day and each time you practice this. So stick with it and I'll show you a couple more ways to practice rasgueado technique.